Nicolo Bulega's name is increasingly being linked with a full-time MotoGP ride starting in the 2027 season. However, behind the promotion, rumours lies a much more intriguing story than simply moving from the Superbike World Championship to the Premier class. Ducati is reportedly offering him the exact same contract that Bulega had previously rejected. Surprisingly, this time, the Italian rider is said to be ready to sign it. So why has Bulega decided to accept Ducati's offer? Is he truly being prepared as one of MotoGP's future stars for 2027? Let's discuss. According to multiple Italian media reports, Ducati and the VR46 team originally offered Bulega a 1+1 contract, one guaranteed season in 2027, with an option for 2028 based on his performance. For a MotoGP rookie, this type of contract is far from ideal. It means that from his very first race, he would already be under pressure to prove he deserves to stay for another season. That was precisely why Bulega's camp initially rejected the proposal. They wanted a full 2-year deal so he could adapt to MotoGP without the immediate pressure of delivering top results. In mid-July, reports from both German and Italian media suggested that Ducati had begun considering a full 2-year contract. However, another report from Sky Sport Italia claimed that negotiations were still centred on the original 1+1 structure, and by the end of July, that remained the most likely agreement. In other words, Ducati never truly changed its position. Interestingly, Nicolo Bulega himself had already hinted at the situation before the contract was finalised. During an interview last July, he admitted that every MotoGP rookie has to make significant sacrifices. Bulega explained that in his first MotoGP season, he would have to accept many things that established top riders never have to deal with. According to him, those sacrifices go beyond contract terms or salary. They also involve many other aspects of his career. His comments made it clear that he understood from the beginning that his negotiating position with Ducati was not particularly strong. The opportunity to race in MotoGP is a dream that may only come once in a lifetime, meaning some compromises ultimately had to be accepted. Bulega's challenges, however, do not end with his contract. Reports from Italy also indicate that Tommaso Raponi, the crew chief who has worked alongside him throughout his World SBK career, is unlikely to follow him to MotoGP. Instead, VR46 reportedly wants to retain one of the crew chiefs already within the team. That means, when Bulega begins his MotoGP journey, he will not only have to adapt to a new motorcycle, new electronics, new tyres, and a completely different style of racing, but also build a working relationship from scratch with a crew that has never worked with him before. Naturally, that will make the adaptation process far more difficult than if he were accompanied by the person who knows his riding style and habits best. Another topic that has attracted attention is Bulega's reported desire to receive the latest spec Ducati machine. Some critics argued that such a request was too ambitious for a rookie. However, considering the situation inside the VR46 garage, the request actually makes perfect sense. VR46 has already confirmed that beginning in the 2027 season, the team will field only one full factory spec bike that will continue to receive updates throughout the season, while the second bike will be a standard spec machine that will not receive every latest development. On top of that, Bulega's expected teammate is Fermin Aldeguer, a rider who is directly contracted with Ducati. For Bulega, receiving a standard spec bike could be a major disadvantage. If his results suffer because he's riding a less competitive package, Ducati could simply choose not to activate the option for a second season. That's why securing the best available bike isn't about pride. It's about giving himself the best chance to stay in MotoGP. In World SBK, Bulega is reportedly earning around €700,000 per season, excluding performance bonuses. Meanwhile, the MotoGP contract currently under negotiation is said to fall well short of the sport's highest-paying deals. In other words, his move to MotoGP is not being driven primarily by money. For Bulega, the opportunity to compete in the Premier class is clearly worth far more than the value of the contract itself. What surprised many fans was Nicolo Bulega's outstanding performance just a few weeks ago during Ducati's 100th anniversary celebration at Misano. Riding the Ducati Panigale 5 Tricolore, a machine virtually identical to those used by Ducati's MotoGP riders, Bulega delivered a dominant performance from start to finish. He claimed pole position, led every lap of the race, defeated every MotoGP rider who took part in the event, and crossed the finish line more than 7 seconds ahead of Francesco Bagnaia. That remarkable display only strengthened the belief that Bulega already has the speed and talent to compete at the highest level of motorcycle racing. However, despite producing such an impressive performance right in front of Ducati's top executives, Bulega still failed to secure a guaranteed 2-year contract. That has raised plenty of questions about Ducati's decision-making process when it comes to selecting its future rider lineup. It suggests that the Italian manufacturer is looking beyond outright speed, with several strategic considerations influencing its decisions behind the scenes. The biggest reason may lie in MotoGP's massive technical revolution coming in 2027. That season will bring one of the sport's most significant rule changes in more than 2 decades. The new regulations include reducing engine capacity from 1,000 cubic centimetres to 850 cubic centimetres, cutting fuel capacity to 20 litres, eliminating ride height devices, restricting aerodynamic development, and switching the exclusive tyre supplier from Michelin to Pirelli. The tyre change could prove to be the most critical factor of all. For years, every MotoGP manufacturer has developed its motorcycles around Michelin's tyre characteristics. Beginning in 2027, however, nearly all of that knowledge and data will become obsolete, forcing teams to start from scratch. That's where Nicolo Bulega becomes an incredibly valuable asset, as his experience could help Ducati adapt to the new era much faster than its rivals. Unlike most current MotoGP riders, Bulega has spent several years racing on Pirelli tyres in World SBK. He understands how the tyres behave in different track conditions, how to manage degradation over race distance, and how to extract maximum performance from them throughout an entire race. Several Italian media reports even suggested that Ducati originally preferred to keep Bulega in World SBK so he could assist with the development of the new 850 cubic centimetres MotoGP prototype for the 2027 season. In the end, Ducati decided to give him the opportunity to move up to MotoGP. However, considering that his contract guarantees only 1 season, many observers believe Ducati's primary objective is to capitalise on Bulega's Pirelli expertise during the transition period, rather than immediately committing to him as a long-term investment. Regardless of the compromises involved, racing in MotoGP remains the ultimate dream for every motorcycle racer. For Nicolo Bulega, accepting a 1+1 contract may not have been the ideal scenario. But at 26 years old, opportunities like this don't come around very often, and there is no guarantee he would ever get another chance. Do you think 1 season will be enough for Nicolo Bulega to prove that he deserves to be Ducati's future in MotoGP? Or has Ducati viewed him from the very beginning as a key piece of its transition project into the new Pirelli era? Share your thoughts in the comments below.